On the agenda tonight, we're going back to 1967. We're going to be taking a look at Aretha Franklin and Frankie Valli, and they're going to be performing That's Life. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, this particular video was sent through to me by Robbie Robinson, and Robbie's the music director for Frankie Valli. And as you guys will know, a couple of weeks ago, I was down at the Royal Albert Hall checking out Frankie's live performance. So a big thank you to Robbie and Frankie for inviting me down to experience that show firsthand. We are going to be jumping into this one. It's a video that occasionally on YouTube you'll find a gem, and this is a hidden gem because I've never seen this before, and by the amount of views that it's got, I think it's one of those that's just flying under the radar. So we're going to watch this the whole way through. It's just under 4 minutes in length. We will have the pitch monitoring software on screen as well, and for reference, that's just plotting out the vocals that we can hear on a pitch graph, but I'm sure you guys are used to it by now, but you'll get the hang of it as we get through it. But let's get into it.
Frankie recently did a TV special with Aretha, and you did a song together, they tell me, on the show that really stopped the show, and we'd like for you to recreate that scene for us right here, would you?
Okay.
Aretha?
Okay.
Aretha Franklin and Frankie Valli.
When I'm back, Aretha, when I'm back on top in June, I tell you that's life. And as funny as it may seem, some people really get their kicks from stepping and walking on your dreams. But I won't let it get me down. Don't let it get me down. This cold world just keeps spinning round. Spinning, spinning, spinning. A pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a queen. I've been up, down, over and out, but I know one thing. Each time I find myself right on my place, I just pick myself up and back in the race. Oh, that's life, and I can't deny it. I've thought of quitting once or twice, but my heart won't buy it. And if I don't think it was worth a try, I'd call me up National Airlines, get on a jet and fly. I've been a puppet, pauper, pirate, poet, pawn and a queen. I've been up, down, over and out, but I know one thing. Each time I find myself flat on my face, I just say, get up there, whip it to yourself, get right back in the race. Oh, that's life, and I'm not gonna deny it. I'm gonna quit once or twice, but my heart just won't buy it. And if I didn't think it was worth a try, this is what we do. I just roll, I'd roll myself up in one of those big balls, and I'd lay right down.
What would happen then?
I do believe that I'd die.
And there we have it. And you can see by the end of the video and how quickly it cuts out, you don't really get time to absorb that performance, because what a great vocal performance it was. And I mean, there's so much in there. With the start to the performance, it's interesting in that, you know, it seems quite spontaneous that they just say, oh, could you get up and do what you did before, where you stopped the show and just put on such a great performance. So they walk to the piano, and what I want you to look out for is that when we start, and I know that during the performance, and maybe this is why it hasn't been seen as much as I think it should have been seen, we've got some mic issues where it sounds like Aretha's mic is on, but then the backing vocals are then not, mic'd up, or at least on the mixer they're not turned up. So then the person probably at the mixing desk then turns up the backing vocals, but then we lose Aretha, and there's that kind of chopping and changing between the levels. And it also happens on Frankie's mic, but fortunately we do get to appreciate it even with the fluctuating levels. Listen out for when Aretha goes over to the piano. She sits down. Obviously Frankie's a little bit behind her, and she plays the piano, giving not only the key, but she gives, her starting note, and then the fifth above that, which is going to be Frankie's harmony line. But you'll see, and we're going to watch this as they approach the piano, Aretha starts and Frankie hasn't even sat down yet. And what I love about the professionalism on show here is that Frankie, even though he's in the process of sitting down, he still comes in. And this is one of those videos that could go on for years, just interrupting it every second. But I want you to listen out for Frankie's harmony vocal, because, as I just mentioned, he's singing the fifth above Aretha's voice. So Aretha's hitting an A4, which means that Frankie's hitting a C5. And on the screen, I do have the female ranges so that you can compare the notes that I'm talking about to that. And usually I chop and change between the male ranges and the female ranges because they would be different. And sometimes a male vocalist singing with a female vocalist will be singing an octave below, or at least the fifth below. But here, Frankie's singing above Aretha's voice, which is just amazing in itself that he's hitting that male tenor high C, effectively the C5. But this has been changed, transposed down to F. And when I say down to F, it was, you will know the Frank Sinatra version in G, but you'll probably think, well, from G it's gone down to F. But it's been taken down a tone, but Aretha's then singing the octave above that. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's just placing it where Aretha's voice is. And then you might be thinking, well, why not just sing the whole octave above and start on G, as Frank Sinatra's version was? So that's obviously not a good fit for Aretha's voice. This is the other advantage about being able to play an instrument, and don't let the piano playing here fly under the radar, because you do start to take it for granted that Aretha is playing the accompaniment and it sounds like somebody else is playing it because it's so accomplished, she's so relaxed with it. But this is the advantage, that you can place a song wherever you want to, transpose it for your vocals. You can place it in that spot where your high note is going to be, the top of your chest voice, so that you can really belt it out, rather than, placing it too high. Obviously in G is just a tone too high for Aretha's voice to then belt in chest, so she's just brought it down by a tone to give herself that little bit of leeway. But of course this doesn't help Frankie, because this means it's effectively the best part of an octave above where a guy would usually be singing this. But because of Frankie's vocal ability and the clarity that he gets in his head voice and the vocal cord connection, he can just sing these notes with such authority. But not only that, listen out for that hint of rasp that he puts onto his sound. And I know that a lot of people refer to pretty much any high note sung by a guy as falsetto, but here you can tell that with the rasp in there as well, that Frankie's not relying on an airy sound here. There is vocal cord connection going on. He's all over these notes when he can lean into it and add that little hint of rasp, just giving it a little bit more attitude. He's got such great control of not only his vocal cord connection, the clarity of tone, but his pitch. He is so precise with his pitch, and I can say from first-hand experience that he is still so precise with pitch, having seen him perform live a couple of weeks ago, and he's still got all the range. So it just really does highlight that Frankie's voice is, I mean, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of training, but he's got a talent for hitting notes that other guys can't hit in a configuration vocally that other guys can't hit. A lot of guys might be hitting these notes in their falsetto register, and you'll know that straight away because it'll sound breathy. But Frankie's just got this innate ability, and he's so relaxed when he sings as well. He's not straining to hit these notes. You'll see how right at the beginning Aretha is just slightly flat of that, but this is the thing about great vocalists. They don't sing on these lines of 440 hertz tuning, equal temperament. They have this fluidity to their vocals, and you'll see that with Frankie's vocal when it's plotted on the pitch graph as well. But let's get back into it.
That's what people say. You ride tiny brown, sitting on the ground in vain. But I know I'm gonna change that too.
And you'll notice straight away how with Aretha's vocal lines that we've got on screen, I'll just take it back, when Frankie comes in, he's in exactly the same place. Hopefully it makes it a little bit clearer as to what Frankie's doing here, and probably how few people, if any other people, could have done this, to sing in the female vocalist's range that you're singing with. Not only that, harmonise with them above their lead vocal line. So I mean, it's great to see it on screen, and it just gives you that visual representation of the notes, and the fact that when we go to the male vocalist, we're not now getting the graph going down, it's just all at that same place.
When I'm back, Aretha, when I'm back on top of June, I tell you that that's life. And as funny as it may seem, some people really get their kicks from stepping and walking on your dreams. But I won't let it get me down. Don't let it get me down. 'Cause this cold world.
I'm just quickly going to jump in here, because this is something that you'll see with Frankie's vocal all the time. He's just so accurate with this A4, and he'll just flip between these notes so accurately. A great example here, the A4 again, he's actually approaching this with a little bit of a slide, but then when he reaches the top of his destination, he reaches the top of that slide, he then stops bang on pitch, and he's got that fluidity in his voice to, you know, give it that expression, and especially here with Aretha, that soul, which is so important. But it's expression with accuracy, and it's not just like auto-tune. It's not being snapped two notes all the time. He's got the freedom in his voice. Have a look here, just slightly flat of the C5, but that's the expression that comes through. But let's get back into it.
Just keep spinning round, spinning, spinning, spinning. A pauper, a pirate, a poet, more than a queen. I've been up, down, over and out.
And take a look at that. I know that I've just mentioned about pitch, but we have this throw up of pitch to the A4. And look at how accurate we are, considering that this isn't Frankie just trying to go and trying to get an A4 as close as possible just by connecting his vocal cords. He's throwing his voice up there. Have another listen to it.
Down, over and
So it's that down, so he's actually sliding up to it and just ending dead on that A4. It's so cool to listen to. I've already said that this could go on for years, but when you're listening to vocalists of this quality, especially singing together, it's, you know, such a treat not only to listen to musically, but then to analyze and look at the details and just see how accurate they are, but why they sound so great. Something that I haven't mentioned yet is Aretha's vibrato, the way that she throws this in within her vocal phrases. And again, she's super accurate vocally, just when she has these throwaway lines that are just hitting these points pitch-wise on the graph all the time. But just taking this back, look at this vibrato that we get all the time, over this F4. Let's take it back and we'll have a listen to this. Listen to the way that she enters into "and I've been a," that's the lyrical content. I've been up. There's we can see it on the screen, but it's that constant vibrato within the phrase, so it's just bleeding its way in. This is what you'll find with great singers who've got that natural vibrato. They can just put that in wherever they want to, and they're not even really putting it in. They're not thinking, okay, vibrato's the technique that I now want to throw in. It's just natural, it happens. And sometimes you'll hear a vocalist hold a line, na na na, and then apply vibrato at the end of the line. But here we've got it straight off the bat. The way that Aretha, when she sings these phrases with vibrato, she's going na 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 na. She's got it all the time, but then she goes na na na, and then she throws up to the higher note and just kills it straight away. So you get that great contrast from vibrato to straight, vibrato to straight, vibrato to then ending the phrase. Have a listen again. I've been a puppet, pirate, poet, pawn and a queen. So cool to have. Again, it's something that she's doing naturally, but it's always going to keep you interested rather than kind of going na 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 and doing vibrato all the time. We're just going to listen to Frankie's effective response to this vocal line, because he keeps it really straight with his vocal and just applies vibrato, like I mentioned actually a second ago, at the end, right at the end of the line. So he's just hitting straight notes, straight notes, straight notes, straight notes, straight note with vibrato. Let's have a listen. I've been up, down, over and out, but I know one thing. So there, right at the end, on thing, he just applies that tiny bit of vibrato in there. The thing that's achieved by keeping the vocals short and sharp is that you start to get more of a conversational quality to the vocal, because when we talk to each other, we don't talk with vibrato unless you're on some kind of medication. But by doing this within a song, obviously applying vibrato is going to make it sound like you are singing. It's making the notes sing. But by cutting them short, and especially in this next section, you get the interaction between the two singers, and it sounds like a conversation because they're not replying to each other, and Aretha doesn't reply to Frankie with vibrato, it's just throwing in notes. Obviously they're hitting pitches here. Let's have a listen. Each time I find myself flat on my face. And listen to Frankie's vibrato there right at the end. I just say get up there, whip it to yourself, get that back in the race. Oh. We can see that she's actually sharp of the F5, but you get that impression when she sings it. There's so much energy in this chest voice that she's belting out. So this F5 that she hits with vibrato, I know that we are touching on the F sharp 5 there, but this is why it's in the key that it is, so that she can do this, that she can belt out this note. Because if she was having to belt out the G5, it would just be a little bit too high and she may not reach it. She may have to strain. She might have to get into a lighter configuration vocally and won't be able to belt it out. It's interesting that here we get to appreciate why the key has been changed, because it really allows Aretha's voice to hit all these notes that we want to hear, and she doesn't have to compromise on these notes because of the key of the song, which is something that a lot of singers unfortunately have to do. Great example there of that really even, consistent vibrato. Is that combination of great technique, control, but accuracy with pitch.
I'd roll myself up.
And even there, when Aretha's singing, "I roll myself up," that little you can see that it's dead on that D4, but it's a kind of throwaway note. She's not even concentrating on it. And this is the point, that great singers aren't really concentrating. They're just singing, and they're just doing this naturally, just hitting these pitches bang on. Even with a throwaway line, when you get to see it on a pitch monitor, as we're seeing here, you get an appreciation of just how locked in they are to the instrument they're playing, but just everything musically. This is why you get such great expression, because they're locked into whatever music is. So a huge thank you to Robbie for sending me this video. It's one of those that I haven't seen before, but it's great to see the kind of level that great vocalists can achieve, and especially with this kind of setup, because I don't think you're ever going to see a female vocalist and a male vocalist singing like this in the same range, harmonizing with each other, and the male vocalist actually singing the higher line. So yeah, great video here. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and keep your suggestions and requests coming. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!